Well, good afternoon. It seems that virtually every day brings more news confirming New York City's strong standing and bright future, and I think the news out this morning demonstrates exactly that, so this is a good day for New York. We've learned great news about the single most reliable indicator of our city's health. According to the latest estimates from the U.S. Census Bureau, our population has hit a new official record high. People vote with their feet. In the end, that's what really matters. And record high population says that people want to come here. For the first time since 1950, there is now a net inflow of people to New York. And that means more people are coming rather than leaving. And that reverses a trend that has been a fact of life for decades, and that a number of pundits have talked about when they predicted the end of New York City. Fortunately, New York City is going in the other direction. People from around the country are voting with their feet. They are voting for life in New York City. Now, back in the 50s, the baseball giants and Dodgers left New York. Today, the Nets have moved from out of town to Brooklyn, and the Islanders are going to be right behind them. So even when it comes to sports, people understand that this is the place to live, to raise a family, to get medical care, to go vacation, to get an education. This news validates, I think, all the work that we've done to make New York City a more attractive place to live, to work, and to raise a family. We've been able to drive our population to record highs and persuade more people not to move away by setting new records in virtually every key area of city life. We've reduced crime to record lows, and so far this year, murders are down nearly 29% from last year's record-setting levels. Just think about that. We had a record last year, and so far, after 2.5 months, crime is down another 29%. Under our administration, we hit a new record high in private sector jobs in the city, most of them, interestingly enough, created outside of Manhattan. So this is something that is citywide, not just in the central part of our city. In fact, last week we learned that January was the best month for private sector job growth in our city in more than 12 years. Tourism, another good bellwether of what kind of future we have and what people think of this city. Tourism in our city is at record levels. We've increased high school graduation rates, as you know, to record highs and created the quality public school options that are leading more and more parents to stay in the city instead of moving to the suburbs, and that is a big part of the net inflows. Fewer people are leaving. The record investments we've made in our parks and cultural institutions and the way we've opened up the waterfront in all 5 boroughs also are giving people more reason to live here. The record number of rezonings we've conducted have opened up many areas for new growth, while also protecting the character of neighborhoods that New Yorkers love. We've made our streets cleaner than ever and far safer for pedestrians, drivers, and cyclists. As you know, we have record low deaths from traffic deaths since we started keeping statistics back in 1916. We have record low fire deaths since we started keeping statistics back in 1916. All of the metrics say that this is a great place to live, and incidentally, if you are living here, you're going to be here for a lot longer than you would be if you lived elsewhere, since life expectancy in New York City is 2+ years greater in New York than it is around the country. We have, because we've driven crime to record lows, including on our subway system, ridership on subways has hit a 62-year high. So people are here, and they're going about their business here. Now, we see all that reflected in the newly released numbers from the U.S. Census Bureau. It tells us that as of last July, New York City's population is close to 8.34 million people. The Census Bureau estimates that since it completed its last formal count of people in our city, which was in April 2010, our population has grown by more than 161,000 people. Just to put that in context, the estimated growth over the past 2 years is greater than the entire population of Hartford, Connecticut. Nothing wrong with Hartford, Connecticut. It's a wonderful city. I have friends there. But the bottom line is New York City is so big and people are moving here. It's just an interesting statistic. This population jump that we're having is one of the largest 2 years increases in decades. And incidentally, a huge factor in this increase is immigration. And that's because in every part of the globe, the words New York continue to mean a better, freer life. Our population is also growing, as I said before, because life expectancy has increased so rapidly, 2+ years longer than the nation as a whole. So when you have people here, they're not leaving by moving out, nor are they leaving by dying. The estimated population is up in every borough in our city. Everybody is sharing this, and up the most, both in raw numbers and percentage increase, is Brooklyn. The Census Bureau estimates that today Brooklyn has roughly 69,000 more residents than it did just 2 years ago. That's a 2.4 increase. Now, that won't come as much news to the riders of the L subway line. For the record, by percentage increase, Brooklyn's population jump is followed by increases in descending order in Manhattan, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. Let me also point out that population growth in the 5 boroughs is benefiting the entire Empire State because of the jobs we create and the tax revenue that we generate. We represent 84% of the more than 192,000 person population growth in the entire state over the past 2 years. And the city's share of the state's population is up, of course, as well. It also means that we are generating a bigger percentage of the state tax revenues. So we are helping everybody. Now, 2 years ago, when the results of the 2010 census were posted, our city's population was listed at less than 8.2 million. And our administration said, in so many words, forget about it. We were convinced that there's been a serious undercount in Brooklyn and Queens. We pointed out seemingly inexplicable decreases, that's right, decreases in the census count in several heavily immigrant neighborhoods. We have not changed our outlook on that, but whether what we're seeing now is simply a more accurate count than we received 2 years ago, or just an increase in the past 2 years, or more likely a combination of both, it is great news for the city. The Census Bureau is now on the right track when it comes to telling New York City's story, which is the story of a dynamic, growing city with a record-setting population and a bright future. Before taking questions, let me just do 2 things. One, I wanted to introduce Dr. Joseph Salvo. Joe, you want to come up with me? He is the director of the City Planning's Department Population Division, so he really does know the numbers. And before we take questions, I also wanted to explain what we're talking about to our Spanish-speaking audience. De acuerdo a nueva información de Censo Federal, la población de nuestra ciudad ha llegado a un récord 8.34 millones de personas. La inmigración a Nueva York es una gran razón por este crecimiento. So with that, we'll be